It was early morning on the island of Sodor, and the sun was rising peacefully. However, Thomas did not follow this tone. The blue tank engine could just not start up his fire. His driver was concerned. "There must be something blocking your funnel. We're gonna have to clean you out and inspect you." Thomas was annoyed. "I won't be able to take the first train," he objected. Just then, Percy rolled up. "I can take it," he offered. And with no other option, Thomas had to agree. Soon Percy was coupled up and was on his way. He stopped at one station to collect trucks he originally was supposed to take, which cut into the passenger timetable. But Percy didn't mind. He had a lovely journey. The sun rose and shone, the birds sang, and Annie and Clarabelle sang sweetly. "I wouldn't mind doing this more often," Percy thought to himself. Eventually, they reached the junction, where Henry was waiting with the first connection. Percy quietly pulled up to see Henry gazing at the now bright sun shining in the sky. "Gah! Thomas, I thought we discussed it!" Oh. "Well, you're certainly not Thomas," he muttered. "What's happened to him, and why are you late?" "Am I? Sorry, Thomas had operational issues and I was a last-minute replacement, and I had to collect my trucks as well as his passengers," explained Percy. Yes, I see. Well, you wouldn't have that problem if you used the old slack maneuver trick," replied Henry. "Slack maneuver trick? What's that?" Now, in reality, the slack maneuver trick, or slack action, as some engines call it, is when workers release a truck's brakes to let them roll into another part of the yard, where the engine has more access to it, and so it can shunt it better, hence the name slack action. But Henry had a cheeky idea. "Oh, well, you see, the slack maneuver trick is when an engine uncouples from its train down a gradient and goes down on to the next station to shunt more trucks needed for the train. Once they're positioned, the guard is contacted and carefully rolls the train down the gradient into the awaiting train." Percy was fascinated. "It's truly an efficient technique," continued Henry, "but branch line engines usually don't use it, as there really isn't enough time or space for it. It's a shame, really. Oh, well, I must be going, must make up time. Goodbye." Henry chortled away, leaving a very conflicted Percy. Percy was still conflicted even after he finished his run. "I'd like to try doing a slack maneuver," he said out loud. "If mainline engines can do it, then I can too." Donald and Douglas listened intently. "Well, I didn't think doing that would work on the mainline. What do you think, Donald?" "Well, maybe we should let the lad figure it out on his own." Who got you on about this, Percy?" Well, Henry did." It's always Henry telling the bizarre stories, isn't it, Dougie?" "Aye, first an elephant, then the wee wishing tree, and now shunting shenanigans." The twins laughed as Percy puffed away, still wondering how he could do this technique. Percy made his way to the harbor. In the winter season, him and Duck would spend some of the day working in Nefford Harbor, as the Little Western and Farquhar branches weren't as busy during the winter. Percy shared his thoughts to Duck. "I just don't understand, Duck. How would I find a suitable enough hill to uncouple my train on?" Duck, confused, tried to give the best response possible. "Well, all due respect, Percy, but I think the best thing to do right now is to concentrate on your job so we don't cause trouble. Then, whenever you have spare time, you can go on and try and find out a solution." Percy knew that Duck was right, and put off the thought until later. Usually, every day at 5 o'clock, Percy or Duck would take trucks and vans down to Brendam docks, so the docks could have more rolling stock for its deliveries. Today, it was Percy's day, so he got some vans together, and he went on his way. Along the journey, Percy had an idea. If I get my trains uncoupled down a hill on the branch line, I may be able to come into the docks in style, in and out, and I'll be able to follow that slack action maneuver thing Henry was talking about. The trucks and Percy's crew, suspecting nothing, continued the journey as normal. Soon they approached a slight hill, which went downhill in the direction of the docks. Time to put my plan into action, Percy thought. He began to ride roughly, bumping the trucks and their couplings back and forth in the process, and it was also causing an old coupling to strain. "Whoa, Percy! Careful!" warned his driver. But it was too late. Clank. "Hooray!" Percy cheered, while the guard brought the train to a standstill at the top of the hill. "If only I can get that train to move on its own." "We must go back and get the train," said his driver. But then there was trouble. The brake van's brakes couldn't hold the entire train on the gradient and started to slip downhill. "Uh-oh," said Percy. "Watch out, Percy," taunted the first van. "Gotta run." Percy shot off with the trucks not far behind. "This is not what I had in mind." Soon, Percy entered the docks, screaming in horror. Look out, everyone! Runaway train!" "What the?" "Oh, shiver me, whiskers me hearties! Abandoned ship! Take cover!" "Oh no, oh crap, I'm boxed in, guys, I'm boxed in!" Ah! Luckily, no one was hurt. I'm actually spared this time! Is everyone alright? "Oh yes, thanks Percy, after wasting all of our time shunting those cars." "You didn't shunt any of them, you get what I mean." As I was saying, luckily no one was hurt. "Everything hurts." Yikes. "Oh, now I've done it." "Oh, no harm done, Hardy," comforted Salty. "You should have seen Cranky last Wednesday." Watch out! Percy still put on a slight smile, but still felt humiliated. That night at the harbor, Percy was getting ready to leave with the mail when Henry came alongside. "I heard you tried doing a slack action trick today. How'd it go?" "It was eventful." "This is why you should leave some things to the main line. Pity you weren't traveling in the direction of the docks. You could have taken shelter in that bank of earth at Lower Sudbury. Again." "Here's an idea for you, Henry," huffed Duck. "Go on and get prepared for the caper, and take my advice, be a sensible engine and don't slam into another goods train. We really don't have the money to pay for that sort of accident." That shut Henry right up and he chuffed sulkily away. "Oh, don't mind him, Percy. He's just in his pompous mood, I suppose. He'll soon come back to his senses eventually." "Thanks, Duck. Hopefully he'll get his soon." Next day, Henry was chuffing along with his goods train on his way to the big station. He was thinking about yesterday's events. That whole slack maneuver thing did give me a good chuckle. I must remember to apologize to Percy later. That was a bit too much for him, he thought as he began to climb the hill. But the trucks were bored and decided to have some fun. "Let's break away, but we'll chase him downhill," they whispered as they began to hold back, causing yet another strain on the coupling. Come on, grunted Henry, but all he got in response was laughter. Then it happened. Right as Henry and the first two trucks reached the peak of the hill, the trucks gave an almighty jerk against Henry. This proved too much for the coupling, and it snapped. The guard and the brake van screwed the brakes hard on and fought for control. But then... "Oh, no you don't. Yeah!" And the trucks rolled downhill, chasing Henry with no brake van. "Oh, help! Cried Henry as he sped away. Further up the line, at Edward Station, Percy was shunting in the yards, shunting a train for Molly, when... "Get clear! There's a runaway coming!" Right after he said that, Henry came leashing by, screaming in fright. Percy saw the trucks headed towards the station and acted instantly. He pushed the brake van in front of him hard and watched it roll onto the main line. "Guard! Brakes! Quickly!" The guard quickly ran in and screwed on the brakes hard. Then he quickly jumped out and ran. He was just in time. Blast! The train had stopped. Phew, wheezed Percy. When he was sure that the trucks had stopped, Henry reversed back to Wellsworth. He was surprised to see the train so close to Wellsworth with a brake van at the front, no less. How did you... Oh, it was nothing really, said Percy. Just a little maneuvering. Perhaps you should try it one day. It'd do wonders to save your tender from everything you go through. If I do say so myself. Henry said nothing for a moment, then smiled. You win, Percy. It'd take an entire island to stop you from succeeding. And I'm sorry about the whole slack maneuver thing. That's all right, replied Percy. But after experiencing this, I think there's one thing that we can both agree on. What's that? We definitely need a break from all these mishaps and escapades. Now you speak my language, Percy. Soon, Henry's train had his old brake van back, and he was off. And after that, there was no more talk about slack maneuvering, as both engines now know how to use slack maneuvering for the better good. Bruh.